You are live. Hello. What's up? All right, Bryn, let's make sure we're live on all the pages.
Yep.
There
we are. We are in Badasses.
We are in M Life.
Awesome. Awesome. What's up, you guys? Whoop, whoop. Bryn Lang, Marina Simone, Jordan Levesque, all up in yo house. I mean, but for real, look at this. I am right in the middle. I feel like the middle of the Oreo, which we all know the middle of the Oreos. Just kidding. But I'm the one with no makeup. I said, what the heck is going on? It's a Sunday, and I'm right by two beautiful ladies. And I'm over here with all, but I'm just showing y'all the collagen, the effects of our collagen, right? What's up, you guys? Super excited to be here live with you guys. Bryn Lang in the house with Miss Marina Simone, with Jordan Levesque. We are coming to you guys live today because we have a freaking killer plan for you guys for October. And I just want to say, and we were just talking about this right before we hopped on, what a beautiful, beautiful thing it is that we can all come together and a rising tide raises all ships. That all of M Life Nation and us leaders can come together and just rock out this plan for you guys this month. We are so blessed with what we have.
And we got Rhino Nation in the house too.
Yes,
Rhino Nation.
But we are just so excited. We're so blessed to be able to pour into you guys. And I don't know about all of you on here, but if you ain't been around for a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday in Modere, it's about to get kind of cray-cray up in here, okay? So we were all coming together and we started talking about what can we do to help every single person on this team come together and absolutely annihilate the end of November. And what I want you guys to understand right now is what we have put together for you guys this month, okay, is to help you crush it by the end of November. Because what you do right now, the activities that you do right now are what is going to take you to the next level come the end of November. And like I said, if you haven't been around for a Black Friday or Cyber Monday, it is the most massive thing that you will ever experience if you start working for it right now. And so what we've done with this plan is we have put together something to get you doing the activities that are going to help you boom. And the two things that we are going to focus on this month going into November, not only to help you crush October, because let me tell you, if you start doing these activities now, it's going to help you smash October and set you up for a massive run in November. And the two things that we are going to focus on are, one, referral posts. Never-ending leads, baby. And Jordan's going to talk to you guys about that today. And number two, recruiting. And Marina's going to smash it for you guys on that one. So I want you to get your notepad out. I want you to pull them big girl and boy panties up. It doesn't matter if you're brand new. It doesn't matter if you've been here for a while. It doesn't matter if you're just launching or relaunching or where you're at in this business. Our plan is simple. Our plan is effective. And we put it together so every single person on this team can absolutely smash it. So it's time to go on our 60-day run, going into Black Friday, going into Cyber Monday. We about to crush it. Hello, as Maria would say. I'm going to pass it on over to you so you can tell them exactly what it is that we're going to be doing.
Whoop, whoop. I love that I do your thing and then you do my thing. And Jordan, what's your thing? Because we're going to start doing yours.
I don't know. I got to figure it out. I ask people if they like money a lot.
Oh, make it rain up in here. So here's the dealio, okay? First off, I am so in love with this freaking team, right? Michelle Barnes down. Like, we just come together, and every Saturday we're already slaying, like bringing on these amazing leaders to just come on and take time out of their Saturdays to share. And Michelle is like on it every Saturday. And now, how many of us are in that chat, by the way? 25, maybe? maybe 20, 25 of us. We have a chat that's going on right now of elites and leaders that put something so special together. And so I was having a conversation with Bryn and Jen Cooper, actually. And I was like, well, hey, this is something that I'm planning on doing for my team. Why don't we just open it up to all the teams? And so I want to explain the power of launching right now. Back in my last company, when I first got started, I had no success whatsoever. I literally spent more money than I was making for 2 years. And I came across this video from this guy named Holton Buggs. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him before, but like, he's like this very famous human in network marketing, right? And I watched him talk about how he did back-to-back in-home meetings. Back-to-back in-home meetings. Like every hour, his door was a revolving door of people that were coming in, and he was building and creating momentum. And I was at a point where I was like, mom with a 3-year-old, no thank you, not happening. But I was like, what if I could take this online? What if I could take that strategy and create it and create some momentum with some power calls? And so I want you to understand the power of this launch is to, 1, create more eyeballs on our Facebook groups, on our profiles, our social media presence. 2, we want to get engagement. 3, we want to start conversation. And 4, build a list of hot prospects. That's all you need to think about, because we are going to give you the actual launch plan. We're going to turn our marketing into an event, because that's what will create massive momentum, duplication, and anticipation of all the people that are watching you. So here's what we put together. Yes, we'll get into the giveaway because I'm going to be handing that off to Jordan in a second. I'm going to explain the giveaway and she's going to talk about the referral post, but let's talk about recruiting. I built a team of 5,000 in less than 60 days with this simple strategy. What if you had an opportunity 4 times a day for 15 days to invite your prospects, invite your customers onto a 15-minute quick call that gave them a quick rundown of what it meant to be a social marketer with the social retail economy, with what Modere has to offer, with our daily pay and all of our goodies. Drop a yes, boo, in the comments if you're like, holy crap, I could double or triple my team right now. Because here's the deets. October 15th to October 31st, the company decided they're going to be throwing out a little bit of a something, right? We'll get into that maybe later. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. However, we decided October 15th to October 31st, we need as many new social marketers as possible for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which happens to be in the same month this year. Can we all get an amen for that, please? I mean,
Seriously.
I was about to change Cyber Monday. It was going to be before Black Friday this year. I was going to make it happen. So you are going to have a Zoom number to log on to and a Zoom number to call into, and some of the leaders will be streaming it live. However, the Zoom number will be the same. So you'll have 10 a.m. Eastern, 12 noon Eastern, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. Eastern. 15 to 20-minute power calls of basic opportunities. The script has been done. It's proven. It works. How do I know? Because it works. It's how I launch every new leader. FYI, you're welcome. Okay? And so you're going to have October 15th to October 31st to invite all of your humans. But here's the powerful piece. From that very first call, we are going to be saying at the end of that call, guess what? Right now, it's time for you to get enrolled, pick your pack, pick your pay, and invite 3 of your BFFs to the next call. That's the power of the compound effect with launching. And we are going to do it for you. You just have to excite and invite with the amazing scripts that these amazing elites put together for you, because we have that too. Okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, any person that enrolls with an XM kit, guess what they get? 10 entries into the $5,000 cash giveaway that your elites got together to put the money together so we could give away. 10 entries. What? Yes. Enroll with an XM kit, social marketer, brand new, and here you go. 10 entries to win $5,000 cash. I mean, are we not incredible? Right? Then, I mean, I just can't even. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Then, check this out. We have the referral post that Jordan's going to talk about. The referral post, anybody that puts up a referral post for you, I don't care if they do 20, 50, 1,000, right? You've got to take a screenshot, drop it in the announcements section of your team page or whatever page it is that you've got that goods going on. MLife and Rhino Nation, I think, are the two main places. And there's also a Google form where you're going to enter those names in. They post it on their Instagram stories. I don't care if they post it on their LinkedIn and their Twitter. It's a referral post, right? Get it up, take a screenshot that enters them into the 5,000. Here's the twist. If your person wins the 5K, you win 1,000. I mean, boom, Kanani, dude. What does that mean? That means, yes, it's for the Hawaiians. I know that we got Brandy and we got Yasmin and the Hawaiians on, and they taught me boom Kanani a while ago. They got to give me some love. Give me some hearts for that, Hawaii. You're welcome. And I keep singing Moana because that's all we watch every single day. So imagine the more XM kids you enroll, you're blessing them with the opportunity to win them, to get in the raffle for 5K. And then if they win, you win 1,000. It's kind of a no-brainer. And the referral posts are just beautiful. So here's what I know. I'm freaking excited. I know that this method works. It's proven. And in fact, there's a book called Launch that I've put everything I do based on this strategy. Trust us. Come in. Don't put your toe in the water for this. I need you all the way in the freaking cold pool in your little bathing suit with us, trusting us that it's going to warm up later on. It's about to get hot in here. So Jordan, you are the queen of referral posts. You are the queen of let's be real. Your pod, I'm still. I can't. I don't even know, girl. I'm going to shut up and take notes when you start talking, FYI. But here's what we did. We put an Evernote together with all of Jordan's. First of all, she gave us this for free, FYI. All of her referral posts, all of her examples, her referral scripts, exactly what she teaches her team that has created a massive organization. And then Bryn and her team came together and put all the recruiting scripts together that we're going to have in an Evernote that we'll post at the top of this when we're done. But Jordan, I would love if you could just come in here and talk about the importance of referral posts and what it's done for your team and what it's done for the brand new person, maybe that, is struggling on social media.
Yeah. So you guys listen, if you have ever seen a training I've done, you know that I preach referral posts all day. Like, I will drill it into the ground because you guys, it is the most powerful, by the way, hello, I hope that y'all having a good day. Okay. But it is the most powerful way to grow your business and the fastest way to grow your business. And I will say with the least amount of effort on your part, because if anyone had experience in another company, like first off, if you guys have been with another company, raise your hands in the comments below. I can't see your comments, but I'll see them later. But I was with another company and I was really, really burnt out on crawling up in people's inboxes and begging them to join or begging them to order products. I really, really wanted to find a way where I didn't have to feel like I was selling my soul to the devil. Referral posts are like a way that you can literally get in front of other people's networks, right? Like literally, if you go on one person's page, if one person shares a post for you, right, who has like, I don't know, 1,000 friends, let's say, or 500 friends, even if only 10% of those people see your post, that's still hundreds of people that are going to see the product or the opportunity, because you guys, you can get really creative with these posts. I haven't seen a ton of people do this, but this is something that I'm going to start messing around with. You can have people do posts about the opportunity too, if you word it correctly. So I think we should come up with some examples for that too for you guys. But referral posts for the product, specifically trim, I mean, that product blows up. When someone sees trim on a spoon, it's so simple. I do have some really simple tips I can share with you guys though about how to make sure that they get better engagement. But you guys, you're getting in front of all these people that otherwise you would not have. And in the comments, people will come to you, literally raising their hands like, what is it? I want info. So it's the most powerful way that you are getting qualified leads. It's not only just new people, it's people that are telling you they're interested in what you have. So you're expanding your network, but with the perfect person or people. So, but one thing I will say, you guys, because a lot of people ask like, what type of post should you do? Or what type of things should you not do on referral posts? There is a post in MLife there is a whole training I did in MLife actually in the referral post unit, but there is a post in MLife that has a ton of really good examples for posts that typically do well. But one thing I will say is you guys try not to be repeating the exact same post over and over again, because that actually hurts your reach. Okay. So if you're having the same people post the same picture, the same status over and over and over and over, Facebook demotes that because it wants to see original content. So just make sure you're switching it up just a little bit for every post. And another big thing is if you guys are noticing that posts consistently don't do well, change it, tweak it, pivot, as Bryn always says. But if I will see people say, well, I'm never getting engagement on posts, but then they're literally having the same post be repeated over and over. So for one, tweak it. It might be a good post, but you're getting demoted for posting it over and over. But for two, if it's not working, then change it. Try something different. Avoid doing like the really spammy, the pictures with words all over it, or putting a ton, it's like, it helps with this, it helps with that. As soon as it looks like you're selling it, as soon as it looks like that person is selling it, you guys, people scroll right by it. They are so tired of being sold. And this is not Sellbook, it's Facebook. It's a place for faces and being social, right? Okay. They want to see their friends that actually, so here's how you know it's a good post. If it looks like that's something that person would post. If it genuinely looks like something where they're like, and like I said, there's a ton of examples that I did in the referral post unit where they're like, I'm so excited. This tastes like brownie batter and it helps with stubborn fat. Count me in. Yes, please. Like in a laughing face. It looks like a human wrote it. That's a good post. Okay. So what you're trying to do with referral posts is just pique curiosity without saying the name, without saying what the product is, so that people are so curious that they want to ask, what is it? That's what a really, really high quality referral post is. But if you're launching that way, if you're getting people to, the first thing they do is just throw up a simple post, and then the people that end up wanting info, you can get them to do a post. All of your potentials that you've talked to in the past, there's a simple script in the script that Bryn will share that I put in there for reaching out to all of your potentials saying, hey, doing a giveaway this month for $5,000. Would you want the details? Super simple, right? There's so many ways you can use this to explode your network. And I want you guys to not like back away from it, to not because you're nervous, because you don't know exactly how to do it. I know so many people that haven't started just because they don't know where to start. You will have everything you need, all of the scripts, a ton of examples, literally just do it. And I'm going to do a pop-up training at some point soon too in MLife and talk about how you can use referral posts to recruit. It's actually another really my favorite way to recruit, but it's another really powerful step that you just add in to what you're already doing, where you can find qualified people who are also interested in making money. So I'll do that at some point later in the month. And Jennifer Piper Kennedy, one of my favorite humans ever, is going to do a pop-up training toward the end of the month. If you guys don't know her, she's an Elite Black 1. She's like up on Tony and Sarah Zalecki's team, but she's incredible. And she's going to help us get a plan for crushing Black Friday too. So this whole month is going to be full of things to help you guys get to the next level. And literally all you have to do is show up, copy paste, take a step, repeat. You cannot fail. The only way you fail is if you just don't do it. So just be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and do the things, and you guys, your business can explode.
And when she says copy paste, we're saying that because if you don't have the app Evernote, you need to download it now, because what we're going to give you is going to be step 1, boop, boop, step 2, boop, boop, and then you wash, rinse, repeat it.
I just love you.
You sound like you're talking to small children.
I need help. Somebody needs to help me with small children, okay? I need more help with small children. I'm not very good at this.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so excited, and I want you guys to understand, both with the strategy that we're going to give you guys with the power calls. By the way, please take advantage of this. You have some of the top leaders, not only in Modere, but in the entire industry, taking
on
the
Saturdays
time
and
out
Sundays,
of their day.
let's be clear.
Yes, 4 times a day.
My calendar of all the leaders. Look at it. Just because it's all on my calendar. Look at all the leaders. Well, these are all the red marks of the leaders that have booked and are ready to rock and roll for you guys. And it'll be 15 minutes too. It's not going to be an hour. It's going to be 15 minutes of straight. Here's the deal.
Yes. It's going to be freaking phenomenal. It's going to help you. Those of you who are going, oh, I'm so scared to recruit. Don't be scared. All of the scripts that we have for you guys are the most basic, simple scripts. We're gonna teach you how to get in the inbox, ask the question, and invite them to the call. Just get them to the call, and then help them get their people to the call and watch the explosion happen. And I will tell you guys, okay, one of the very first things that I did to help explode my team that took our team to Elite 1 in 45 days was referral posts. We called it originally #spoons everywhere. That was what we did. It was the only thing we did. We got spoons everywhere and we ATM'd our faces off. And I can guarantee you the people whose pods you see are always exploding with new growth are the people doing referral posts. I want you to think about it like this, okay? Every time that you get a referral post up on somebody else's page, they basically said, here you go. Here's my Rolodex. Welcome to my network, right? Because at the end of the day, you can post all day on your own social media, but eventually people gonna get sick of your butt, okay? But if you're constantly getting posts up on other people's pages, you're constantly getting to talk to new people. And here's the other thing that I want you to understand about referral posts. Don't get discouraged if you don't get sales right away. You will get some sales right away. But the referral posts are a way to have never-ending leads. I want you to think of it as like a funnel, okay? So you're constantly stuffing those leads into the funnel, and they're sitting there in that funnel, and they don't really know, like, and trust you yet, right? They know, like, and trust their friend. They don't know you from Adam, okay? You're the one getting them the information. But guess what? When the sales hit, when there's a promotion, hello, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the more referral posts that you've gotten up, the more leads that you're going to push right through that funnel, and all these people are going to get off the fence. So I triple dog dare you, and y'all know me and my triple dog dares. You can't say no to aim to get at least one referral post up every day for the next 60 days. And you may that's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm loving it though.
But I triple dog dare y'all. I guarantee you, those who even just aim, even if you fall a little short of one a day, your business is going to explode. And if you do like Jordan said, think about it. All these new people, you can always ask them, hey, are you just looking to lose weight? Or you want to lose weight and make a little bit of money?
Right.
And then you got a power call to invite them to. Hello, as Marina says, right? So we are so excited to help you guys launch this. We're going to crush it all together. I'm super excited to be working with these amazing leaders all together doing this. I mean, think about it this way too. Think about all those people that you know that have been watching. There's nothing like what we have out there, you guys. Okay. I don't know any company that has leaders that are cross-line, constantly coming together to pour into each other's teams. I don't benefit off Marina's team. I don't benefit off Jordan's team. None of us benefit off of each other, but we're here to help everybody together because at the end of the day, a rising tide raises all ships. So let's go out there. Let's freaking crush it. Let's rock October. The Evernote is going to go in the top of this video, so be looking for that. We're going to amend that. Let's crush it, you guys. Woo-hoo.
Bye.